Brown will not be here this afternoon. So in the interest of time and to stay on schedule, because we have 5 agencies this afternoon, we will go ahead and begin. And we'll join, Commissioner Boyce will join us while we are.
Right now.
Oh, Commissioner Boyce is with us. So we will go ahead and begin with the auditor, Mr. Stinziano, and his staff.
I was hoping you would be up that one.
I figured I might as well just hook you up to start with. Welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Grady. Thank you, Commissioner Boyce. Really
I would
appreciate-
also tell you, I'm not positive, excuse me, I apologize, Mike. I'm not positive that your microphones are quite as sensitive as ours are, but in the event that they are,
Don't touch anything.
you may want to, when you're not speaking, you may want to push the button and turn them off, because Commissioner Boyce, and I think you do that, but they are quite sensitive generally, and so if you're going to whisper to your neighbor, you might want to turn your button off, because
I think Shay and
otherwise
Robert's goal
everybody
is not to speak at all, so you may only hear
well,
from
you
me,
always want to
Commissioner.
listen to everything Shay tells you anyway, but they'll hear. Otherwise, they'll hear you all the way in the back of the room. So, the floor is yours.
Again, good afternoon, Commissioner O'Grady and Commissioner Boyce. Joining me for the Franklin County Auditor's presentation is our Deputy Chief of Staff for Operations, Shay Anthony, and our Chief Fiscal Officer, Robert Caldwell. Thank you both for the opportunity to discuss the Franklin County Auditor's Office 2020 priorities with you today. Since taking office 261 days ago, on March 11th, we have accomplished many things, and I'd like to highlight a few of those before we talk about 2020. The office created a special docket of the Board of Revisions to approve changes allowing farmers to have an additional year for a guaranteed fallow land exemption because of the wet weather conditions we saw throughout the state of Ohio. We have 1,815 CAUV parcels throughout the county, and really have appreciated the feedback we received from those property owners regarding that special docket. We eliminated a fee for name changes when there isn't a property transfer. We investigated how to eliminate this fee that we saw was disproportionately impacting women throughout the county. We began a proactive outreach program to ensure first responders and other public safety workers know how to have their personal information redacted per the Ohio Revised Code. We are reviewing all of the office's forms that come into our office, and in doing so, we have eliminated and continue to seek to eliminate unnecessary forms and letters, cutting red tape for Franklin County residents. And we recently received an Auditor of State Award of Distinction for our comprehensive annual fiscal report. In addition, we conducted a performance audit of the 2017 reappraisal to ensure our office is operating as efficiently as possible and being good stewards of Franklin County taxpayer dollars. We announced last week that the auditor's office will be managing the intake for the Property Tax Assistant Program to help seniors with tax relief on their properties. We created and launched a real estate sales dashboard so that both buyers and sellers have a tool that allows them to see sales trends down to the municipality, area commission, and school district level. Through our Weight and Measures Department, we worked with the FBI and local law enforcement to conduct a skimmer sweep across Franklin County, checking over 100 car readers throughout the county. Fortunately, none were found to have any skimmers, but we will continue to maintain that vigilance. In addition, our Weights and Measures team certified 10,466 scales this year, and in doing so, we implemented as well a program dubbed the True Transaction Award, where monthly we go out and highlight a local business for their outstanding accuracy in weights and measures. Apparently, I'm one slide behind on my. We hosted an affordable housing fair, bringing together area agencies and other organizations to share information with Franklin County residents. We felt the event was a success and plan to continue to hold additional events across the county next year. I'm going to go back. We partnered in a more direct way and have really appreciated the partnership with Franklin County Dog Shelter and other rescue organizations to provide mobile dog licensing at low-cost vaccine clinics across the county. And just today, if you got your Columbus Dispatch app, we were proud to announce the return of $7 million to local governments, schools, and political subdivisions. We have budgeted strategically and saw no need to hold these funds until an election year, which was the previous administration's practice and look forward to continuing this practice of doing it annually moving forward. Looking ahead to 2020, I do want to outline our priorities as we strive to make the auditor's office more transparent and accessible. We have already begun the work for the 2020 triennial update of property values. The appraisal staff is taking an additional step regarding delineated additional neighborhoods, which we feel will better align with sales and property values with more comparable homes. In addition, we're going to be increasing locations of the informal review sessions across Franklin County. This is where we provide more one-on-one opportunities with residents to discuss our suggested value and if they feel we are using the right comparisons or not. We're also looking to require cultural competency training for contract appraisers and appraisal staff. With the recent extension of dog licensing season, and thank you all for your partnership with that resolution, we're hoping to increase the number of licensed dogs by 5,000 across the county. This increase would mean over $80,000 for the Franklin County Dog Shelter. We're working to update our rental registry process to ensure there's accurate and up-to-date landlord information easily accessible to tenants. We are looking to launch our mobile office so that we can make the functions of the auditor's office more accessible to Franklin County residents. We are working with the recorder and engineer to fully move to a simple file system, streamlining processes and allowing for electronic title filing for Franklin County residents. And we are planning to upgrade our real estate management system, our REMS, in order to allow the auditor and treasurer system to communicate more effectively and create a sole source solution. In addition, we'll be providing a continuing legal education course in partnership with other county entities and the Columbus Bar Association. We look forward to continue collaborating on census work and GIS mapping with the Complete Count Committee. And we are conducting a study of our Tax Incentive Review Committee to see how it can best support the objectives of our Franklin County municipalities. We're dubbing it a Turk with teeth and substantially increasing auditors' role in collaboration with those municipalities. On June 18th, we were proud to issue a 100-day report, and we'll be continuing to issue an annual report in the March time period to highlight these and other priorities and accomplishments. I do want to thank you all for your time and investment in Franklin County's Auditor's Office. Really appreciated all the support during the transition and look forward to continuing to collaborate moving forward. At this time, we would happily take any questions.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Grady. I want to thank Auditor Stinziano for his presentation. And I definitely believe that your presence in the Auditor's Office has been felt in a very positive way throughout Franklin County in your short time here. And I want to just let you know I appreciate your staff and you and your leadership. So nice job. I do have a couple of questions, though, if you're okay. That one, your budget appears to increase by 41% or about $7 million. Can you talk more specifically about what that is and how that can be, and most importantly, how those resources are going to be expended?
I'm assuming you're looking at the real estate assessment fund?
No, I'm just looking at the overall budget of expenditures, and I, there's so many of these documents we get. I could be reading the wrong one, but I'm looking at the summary of your expenditures projected for 2020. And it says that in 2019, your overall budget was $19.6 million. It says for 2020, your budget is recommended at $27.7 million. So I'm just trying to understand that difference.
Yeah. Two major factors are the assessment period for the revaluation. So our appraiser costs jump from year to year based upon what year we are in the contract of those. So with the update coming in 2020, they will be in high gear and doing appraisals during that year. So our costs go up significantly for the appraisers.
So I just want to make sure I understand that, Commissioner O'Grady. This is the appraisal year that we're in, and so, because it's every 3 years, I think, is the valuation.
So under the Ohio Revised Code, in a 6-year time frame, we have to do a mass appraisal. So that's when we will go to every parcel across the county. And then in the 3rd year of that 6-year cycle, you do a triennial update. And we are in the triennial update period. Again, all those funds, though, come from our REA bucket, if you will.
Sure, I get it. But I think what you're saying, though, Auditor, is that this is just a big auditing year, and you, because of that, the resources are required to accommodate what those valuation processes are.
That is correct. On years where we're out in the community working with residents on what our proposed values and final values will be, there is substantial increase in terms of working with our contractor to identify and go through our triennial processes.
Sure. Okay, thank you. And if, Commissioner O'Grady, if I can continue. And so the entire sort of additional $7 million is mostly that, or are there other things that you'll be investing in that sort of give you the spike in an increase?
There are a number of IT projects that we're pursuing, the largest of which, as the auditor referred to, is an upgrade to the RMS system. Currently, we have a system that was developed in-house. While it was done to meet specific needs, we found that there were other areas, like the fact that it doesn't talk well with our current CAMA system that Tyler Technologies provides us. So we're looking at a single source for that, and to encompass the treasurer's system that they're operating at this current time. So right now, we have 3 separate systems that have to talk to each other, and we're looking for one sole solution for all 3 of those to eliminate the duplication of efforts.
RMS for those who are, not normally paying attention, is real estate management system.
Yes, sir.
Well, outstanding. It's all makes sense to me. 2 other questions, if I might, Commissioner O'Grady. The first is, and again, I'm learning more about the auditor's office since you've been there. I'd say you all have been a little more accessible and engaged. No offense to the previous auditor, just seems that way to me. But so I'm interested in a couple of things you said. One was you mentioned cultural competency training, and if you could talk more about that and what you're invested in that. And then 2, you mentioned the mobile office. If you could talk about that and what you're invested in that too.
Thank you, Commissioner Boyce, Commissioner O'Grady. So in terms of cultural competency, when we've been out in the community, there's been a lot of feedback and concerns that particularly the contractors we used during the mass appraisal didn't understand our neighborhoods. Really just kind of looked at residents as numbers or looking at them on a spreadsheet. And so making sure that not only our in-house appraisers, but also the contractors have that awareness of what's going on in our communities, understanding that impact. Some of the work that Council President Hardin did on redlining, those have real implications when we then are out doing our appraisals throughout the county. And so having that education, Montgomery County did this with their contractors, and so replicating some of the success they've seen regarding cultural competency. So adding an additional layer, getting to make sure these contractors understand our community, understand our neighborhood even better. A lot of them unfortunately don't come from Ohio, and so that was an important thing that wanted to make sure they understood when they're in our community, the impact these valuations have and the impact it has on our communities.
Outstanding.
In terms of the mobile office.
But how much do you invest in cultural competency too?
So right now, we actually think it's, Commissioner Boyce, Commissioner O'Grady, we think it's part of the contract. Our staff has evaluated in terms of the scope of what was in the 4 corners, and we think that it's something that we already can require them to do. So it shouldn't cost anything in addition, but is an extra layer and step that we're going to require the contractor to pursue. On the mobile office front, as we're out in the community trying to enhance our presence, seeing what Veterans Affairs has in terms of having a mobile ability to have folks on site and provide the services of the office, we're looking to replicate that. While it's a beautiful building and I love your new space, tough for particularly older residents in Franklin County to get to the 19th, 20th, or 20th floor. So being able to be out in the community, if it's dog licensing, if it's homestead exemption, all the functions that you would see in our floors here, but being out and doing it in a mobile way is the vision of the mobile unit.
Makes sense. Outstanding. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Commissioner O'Grady.
If you don't mind, define mobile, where do you have here, I told you guys to do it, I'm not doing it myself. Where, are you truly mobile, or do you have a location? Define that if you would.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Grady, Commissioner Boyce. Truly mobile, very similar. So it's 4 wheels and it rolls. And we've been working to be very conscious of the expenses and looking at what Veteran Services has provided. Just looking at the same mobile unit that they were able to purchase with the cost of resources, it's gone up, so we've scaled back a little, but our real intent is to do everything we can. We are limited, given the partnership and reliance we have with the Recorder's Office and with the Treasurer's Office to provide certain functions, but are collaborating with them as well in terms of what we're able to do as kind of a one-stop shop. But four wheels everywhere we go, and so when we're out in the community at 20 locations for the triennial update, the mobile unit, if it's done, would be present there. When we're at festivals, when we are doing our Board of Revision challenges at mobile locations, truly being out and about.
You know, I appreciate the vision there. We, you know, years back when I was the clerk of courts, I talked to Don Brown, our county administrator at the time, about the idea of taking more county services out into the county. We talked about the idea that it could, you know, we could have done this with the county auditor, with the, you know, with all types of services for the county auditor, frankly. But the idea that this complex is just very difficult, in some ways for folks to be able to access due to parking, due to lots of reasons. We have all kinds of guests here today who came down, I'm sure had a difficult time. And we discussed earlier today how over the next couple of years, it's going to become even more difficult for people to access this complex. And so we talked, Don Brown and I talked back in 2005, 2006, 2007 about my interest in the clerk of courts, as the clerk of courts at the time, in Franklin County offering more of its services in different agencies than we were at the time, because the clerk's office has had remote locations for years, for a long, long time. And the idea that so many of the agencies could offer their services outside of the downtown complex. And we just couldn't convince folks that it was a good idea, including your predecessor in later years. And your predecessors, not just your immediate predecessor. And now here we are, all these years later, and you're not the only one. We have a multitude of agencies that are finally offering services, and we have locations, county services in locations all over Franklin County, and so it does my heart some good. So I appreciate the fact that you're doing this. I like the idea that you are truly mobile on four wheels, and I think that there's probably other services that you can provide from your shop. So keep your eyes open and keep doing what you're doing. I like it.
I'd just add, Commissioner O'Grady, I really think you're onto something, and just in that conversation, even as a BOC, you know, we were talking the other day, some of the staff and I, about some of our space outside of the downtown complex and how to use that, and where the commissioners specifically could create a more accessible kind of engagement with the public. And so I think you're onto something, and maybe that's something the BOC should be thinking about a little deeper too. But I think you're spot on, and you're and kudos to the auditor, as you said, for because it's really about the public. It's really about giving them access to their resource, and so I can appreciate what you've done, and definitely your earlier insight into this. I think we're onto something in the conversation.
Well,
so.
we have facilities management and the Board of Elections coming in here in a little bit, in another hour or so, and Deputy Administrator Long and I have had many conversations around this, including just, yesterday, I think, or no, last week, I guess, because there's some space maybe potentially available up on the Morse Road corridor as it relates to our needs in that area. So, you know, there's just so many ways that we can potentially get county government more accessible to the public. The conversation you and I had in Miami a couple of weeks ago around Judge Hidalgo's initiative, and she did her Civic Saturdays and went out into the public to make Harris County, Texas, much more accessible to the public in Harris County. Is still something I'd like to pursue more. Conversation you and I'd like to have a little bit more with you as we try to figure out how to maybe do some of those types of things. And so, good stuff.
Again, Commissioners, thank you. I really appreciate the collaboration with the administration, county administrator, deputy administrators. It's helped a lot. Zach and OMB, just as we've done the transition. So thank you for the opportunity to present, and look forward to continuing to work together in 2020 and beyond.
Thank you.
Auditor, might I also just say that it's been a pleasure working with your staff. They're very professional. You've got a very thorough team. Their knowledge is very thorough. They're very engaged, very accessible and responsive. And so I just want to let you know they're working hard on your behalf.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Good stuff. Thanks. All right. Appreciate it. If we have the staff here from EMA, or I'm sorry, Emergency.